Mm, okay, this is an interesting question altogether, and I probably think everybody will be having some different things with respect to this. So I would like Channing to start with. So what happens when data science is misused? Channing.
Right. So, I mean, it's pretty, I mean, the question is a bit vague. So misuse can be in many ways, right? But generally misuse has a negative connotation. So, I mean, misuse in the terms of invasion of privacy, or would it be misuse of using for the wrong purpose? So
Generally, Channing, generally,
yeah.
it can be anything.
All right. So it really depends on the area that it is being misused on. And so I recall there was a video by Ken's channel on the, was it the weapons of math destruction, right?
Yeah,
so
really good book. Highly recommend.
Right. So, I mean, at the moment, I'm pretty much blank for that question right now. Yeah, so maybe I'll send to you guys, and if there's anything that pops up, and yeah, I'll add later.
Yeah, Dhaval, you can answer. Thanks.
Yeah, I would say the misuse of privacy is one of the biggest concern. Even big companies like Facebook, Google. Google was fined a couple of $1 billion under GDPR Act by European Union for the invasion of privacy and some of their practices. So Facebook, pretty much all the social media companies they have gotten involved in some kind of, fines, and they have been invited by Congress for hearing in Washington D.C. So even if big companies can get into trouble, like individuals or small firms can easily get into trouble where they maybe not intentionally but unintentionally they end up misusing the data. Like if I have Alexa or a Google Mini at my home, and if it's listening to my conversation, I always feel kind of nervous that, because I am not sure now, Google has so much of information about me. It knows so much of my personality. Even they use this information for targeted marketing. There was a survey that was done in Australia, and 70 to 80% people didn't feel good about targeted marketing. Targeted marketing is kind of legal, but many people don't feel comfortable about it. So it really, sometimes you almost get into a dilemma on what is right and what is wrong. And keeping a balance becomes very, very difficult when billions of dollars are at stake, right? So if you're Google and if you're generating, let's say, $10 billion of revenue through targeted marketing, and if we term that as illegal, Google will try their best to, annotate as a legal activity. So that is one thing that we have to be really careful about. Governments need to work on tight regulations. Europe has GDPR, US, every country has different rules, but we as an individual citizens need to become part in that democratic process where we can help governments design these regulations so that the data science doesn't get misused. Data science is just like any other tool. It's like knife. You can use it to cut the fruit, or you can use it to, stab someone.
So yeah, amazing. So considering this, guys, I really want to talk about something. One of my friends was saying that now Google knows you more than your parents knows you. Huh? So this
or
is
more than your wife.
so it has all the information with respect to your, like even you on the location, right, wherever you're going. Suppose you're stopping at one place, everything it knows, because you'll be seeing, right, suppose you have stopped near a KFC or a McDonald's, right, they'll suddenly ask you, can you provide some reviews, feedbacks, right? So those kind of notifications usually comes up. So yeah, Ken, we should go with you.
Yeah, so something Dhaval said was very interesting. I think he said whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. And a lot of the times, the decision-making around this, people are just following optimization. You look at, for example, like Facebook News, right? They want to push articles that will get the most interaction. But articles that get the most interaction are usually very sensationalistic. They speak in absolutes. They aren't always they're kind of clickbaity, things like that. And, that's in theory a pretty bad thing if the only news that's getting pushed is very sensationalistic, very scary headlines. And so whose responsibility is that to change? Is it Facebook's, or is it the actual responsibility of the data scientist, machine learning engineer, whoever it is, who's creating that algorithm? So I think for every data scientist, it's really important to look at your own work and to look at how it affects other people more broadly, rather than just looking at how it affects your role in the company. I mean, I think data scientists have a responsibility to think about the broader impact of their work. Another good example of this is in the US education system. You know, one of the things that is a huge driver of university decision-making is the college rankings that are issued. And historically, the college rankings actually didn't have any mention of price. So companies would try and make their campus beautiful by, you know, planting trees, making arboretums, like putting in golf courses, spending millions and millions of dollars to upgrade the buildings. But this just inflates the cost of tuition because that wasn't a metric that was captured. That's something that's directly taken out on the students. And, you know, if we're thinking about education, that's probably one of the most important components for so many people. So we're also responsible for understanding what the repercussions of our models are, and also for maintaining models over time and making sure that they're actually relevant to the use case. I mean, I think a lot of data scientists think, oh, once this is in production, I'm done with the model, I can move on to something else. But like data changes, the scope of the economy and the problem changes over time, and it's really important to continue to give your models relevant feedback. So I think that that's maybe a little bit of a word of caution, is that, hey, you're responsible for the things that you put into the world, and, you know, try and make sure that you're doing good with them in general.
Amazing. Channing, you want to add anything?
Yeah, so the answer came to me. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for the ideas, guys. So yeah, so in the university, I work at a research university, and I also do research. So before we even ask for money from the university or funding agency, what we normally have to do is, if the data that we're using is related to patients or people, we have to request for approval from the Institutional Review Board, acronym is IRB, so that they could approve. So the thing is, we have to write a proposal. How do we intend to use the data that we have collected? And that data and the detail of our usage will be evaluated whether it is appropriate or not. And the thing is, if we don't abide by that, we could be sued for. So the thing is, we're going to be accountable for all of the usage of the data. And so that would dictate that for the data scientists in the project, like, or the programmer, what is the scope and the things that they could or cannot do for the project.
Amazing. So again, just like to add, I think you have covered all the points. It's all about ethics, guys. And I think companies should make sure that, you know, they don't do it unintentionally, at least.
Right.
But anyhow, government are coming up with more stronger policies, you know, where they are actually trying to look after them. So definitely, let's see how it happens. But again, you know, when it is happening for the first time, you know, it is always a mistake. It may be intentionally or unintentionally, but definitely, government basically looks at those things. You know, they come up with a more stricter policy so that it does not happen in the future. So yes, we'll go with the next question.